What's up, you guys? I want to talk more about Maya's career and what happened when she didn't play by the industry's rules. She seemed to have been almost blackballed in the music industry when she didn't show enough love to Jay-Z for being on her song Best of Me. And her career took a turn from being poised for crossover mainstream success to becoming an indie artist. So we're going to get into all of that in this video. But first, if you like celebrity news and nostalgia, make sure you subscribe to this channel, click the bell, leave a comment, click the thumbs up button, do all the YouTube things. All right, y'all, so let's take it back to 1998 when Maya dropped It's All About Me. Maya came out the gate strong. She wasn't just singing, she was dancing, she was acting, she was giving us everything. And the labels were marketing her as a triple threat. She could sing, dance, and act, which was important back then. Her debut album, Maya, went platinum with hits like It's All About Me, featuring Cisco, Moving On, featuring Silk the Shocker, and My First Night with You. And in my opinion, she was being packaged like the new Janet Jackson. She had the soft, sultry vocals, the dance ability, and a quiet, mysterious type of persona, all similar to Janet Jackson. And she was being positioned to cross over just like Janet Jackson, especially when she was paired with Missy, Pink, Christina Aguilera, and Lil' Kim on Lady Marmalade in 2001 for the Moulin Rouge soundtrack. The song wasn't just a radio hit, it was a pop culture event, The song was #1 for 5 weeks, and they won a Grammy for Best Pop Collaboration. And that Grammy win should have been Maya's ticket to superstardom. That should have been her moment where everything clicked into place and her label got behind her 100%. But while Lady Marmalade was dominating the charts, people in the industry were already noticing that Maya wasn't getting the same level of support as her collaborators. Christina Aguilera was climbing the pop charts, Pink was at the top of the rock charts, Lil' Kim was already a legend in hip-hop, but something shifted for Maya, and not in a good way. Kind of like when Monique won the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress, but her career didn't take off because of rumors that she was hard to work with. The same thing seemed to happen to Maya. The tea was that when Jay-Z did a feature on Maya's 2000 single Best of Me, Maya supposedly didn't show enough love. She didn't show enough appreciation for his contribution. And by appreciation, y'all know what I mean. Maya is known for refusing to sleep with these rappers and executives that did and still do take advantage of women that want to be entertainers. So in Trackmasters Tell All, the stories behind their classic records, producer Tone said, quote, Steve Stout was head of black music over at Interscope, and at the time, we were still his guys. He wanted a remix, so we went in and knocked the remix out. I remember Maya couldn't cut the vocals properly, and it took forever. When it was done, we wanted Jay-Z on it, so Jay came to the studio that night at the Hit Factory. He got it right away and he understood what it was, but he didn't like Maya's vibe in the room. He looked at her like she was a spoiled brat because she was. He looked at her like, I'm about to rap on your record. You're about to have a hit, and I don't think you really appreciate it. She was like this new artist on Interscope. She didn't even really understand what was going on, so he didn't do the record when he got there. Once again, he gave a preview of what it was going to sound like, but he didn't do the record because he didn't feel like it. He left and we had to tell Maya like, yo, Maya, Jay wants to do the record, but he feels like you're not even giving him any love, like no thank you or none of that. But that's just her personality. So we went to LA for some music awards, and around that time, we had one more shot at getting Jay to come to the studio. And obviously, Jay came in and Maya was more cordial towards Jay. He laid the rhyme down, Steve asked for a shout out, and that's basically it. That's a good record, and Jay-Z charged her through the nose for it. So Maya not sucking up to Jay-Z, first of all, it sounds like she was having a bad day. If she was having trouble with her vocals, it sounds like it was a bad day, and seeing Jay-Z did not cheer her up. But that day might have been what changed her career trajectory. In the early 2000s, Jay-Z wasn't just another rapper. He was the head of Rockefeller Records, and he was one of hip-hop's biggest stars, and his opinion carried weight in the music industry. If Jay-Z felt like someone was hard to work with because they didn't suck up to him, that could ripple through the entire music industry. Radio programmers, other artists, executives, they all play follow the leader, and Jay-Z was on top at that time. And so I feel like what happened is that Maya might have been too independent minded for the industry. She didn't want to play politics. She didn't want to kiss the ring, as they say. And in an industry built on money, sex, and power, that can cost someone their career. So we also have to talk about the elephant in the room. Around 2003, right when Destiny's Child was winding down and Beyoncé was going solo, both her and Maya were occupying similar spaces. They were both talented R&B singers with crossover appeal. They both had proven they could deliver hits, and they both seemed like they should have long, successful careers. But the industry treated these two women completely different. When Beyoncé dropped Crazy in Love, Columbia Records went all out. There were massive promotional budgets, strategic radio campaigns, high-budget videos. They treated that album like it was the second coming of Diana Ross. And they seemed to use every resource they had to make sure Beyoncé succeeded, including setting her up with Jay-Z. Meanwhile, Maya was getting a completely different treatment. Her 2003 album Mood Ring got good reviews and had hits like My Love Is Like Whoa, but the promotional push felt lukewarm at best. It's like the industry had already decided who was going to be the one to carry R&B into the new decade, and it wasn't Maya. Beyoncé had the Destiny's Child machine behind her. She had Matthew Knowles managing her career. She had all these industry connections. But Maya had talent, she had hits, and she had a Grammy. So people would ask, what's the real difference? And personally, I think it came down to politics and who was willing to play the game the way the industry wanted it played. Despite Maya having one of the biggest hits of 2001 and holding a Grammy to prove it, the big collaborations became harder to come by. The high-profile TV appearances weren't happening as often, and the industry hype that surrounds new artists or rising stars seemed to get quiet for Maya. So at the time, Maya was signed to Interscope/A&M, and she was competing with other artists at her own label for resources. During the early 2000s, as the industry was dealing with digital piracy and changing consumer habits, like people were starting to stream music instead of buying it, labels became even more conservative, especially with Black artists, and they start putting all their eggs in fewer baskets, focusing on artists that they saw as sure things. If an artist was seen as potentially problematic, whether because of personality conflicts, networking missteps, or not being willing to play the game, they could find themselves getting less priority and less resources. And the Jay-Z situation might have contributed to a perception that Maya was difficult to work with, which seems to be the kiss of death for women entertainers. Men can be jerks and it actually helps their careers, but women have to be pliable and willing to conform in order to advance their career. So in 2005, Maya shifted from A&M Interscope to Universal Motown, hoping for a stronger push behind her fourth studio album, Liberation. The move was supposed to reinvigorate her career, but it only led to more frustration. In 2007, Liberation was in limbo. After multiple delays and changes to the release schedule, the album was accidentally, and I say, quote unquote, accidentally released in Japan ahead of its time. And that mistake effectively killed the rollout before it even began. And Maya talked about the incident in an interview saying, quote, "My fourth album with a major label was accidentally released once the release date changed for the fourth time. Other territories are ahead of the United States. That's essentially what happened." So the mishap meant that there was no coordinated U.S. release, no promotional support, and little chance for the project to succeed. And rather than fight another legal battle, Maya's lawyer advised her not to waste more time or money in court. For most artists, that kind of career setback would be devastating. But for Maya, it was a turning point instead of an end. And it was the beginning of her decision to go independent. Maya has always credited mentors like Prince and Rap-A-Lot Records founder Jay Prince with encouraging her to take control. In 2012, she said, Taking the wise business advice from mentors like Prince and Jay Prince regarding ownership, I gave it a shot. Released my first indie project, Sugar and Spice, in 2008. And that project marked her formal entry into independence. In 2008, she launched her own record label, Planet 9, and never looked back. And the name Planet 9 carried symbolic weight. Maya described it as her own creative world outside the mainstream orbit of the music industry. On her label's website and in interviews, she framed it as a universe where she could create freely, on her own terms, without interference from executives chasing radio hits. And she explained the business side in practical terms, too. Speaking to Rolling Out in 2009, she broke down the math. She said, quote, "I've created a label called Planet 9. I've invested in my own studio. The return is greater, and now I own my masters. I see $6 per album sold versus 10 cents. So that's a big difference, $6 versus 10 cents. And over the years, Maya released a steady stream of albums and mixtapes on Planet 9, including Kiss in 2011, Smooth Jones in 2016, and TKO in 2018. And she executive produced each one, handling the budget, the marketing, and the distribution herself. And the label also allowed her to tap into international markets directly, something her major label days hadn't prioritized, but was lucrative for her. So today, Maya's career is a blueprint for independent artists. The leak of her Liberation album could have been the end, but instead it became the beginning of her independent career. By founding Planet 9, she built an ecosystem where she owns her masters, controls her release schedule, and decides the kind of music that she makes. So y'all, leave a comment and let me know what you think about Maya transitioning from being a vulnerable R&B star with the potential to cross over and be a household name like Janet Jackson to an independent artist with less commercial success but more control over her career and the ability to earn more from her music. Leave a comment and share your thoughts. As always, thanks for watching. Now, if you made it this far to the end of the video, then I think you like my content. So make sure you subscribe and check out my channel. I have over 1,000 videos on my channel. Check out my playlist and my podcast, and I assure you, you will like more of my content.